let me just say this. What were the results? Let me just basically explain the results here. Let me pull those up real quick. So when we look at this stuff, so I called this, perfectly. What do you want me to say? And I've also, if you've been watching my analysis, it's been very, very obvious that the problem was going to be white people in the South. And what happened in Virginia is white people in the South swung overwhelmingly to the Republican. Look at this ad for Youngkin, then study the second page closely to see what a bunch of idiots paid for it. Virginia is very, very winnable, but everybody has to go out and vote. Donald J. Trump, Take Back America rally, 10/31/21. Glenn will truly make Virginia great again. Take back Virginia. They said, this guy is like Donald Trump. And I said, thank you very much. President Trump represents so much of why I'm running. Glenn Youngkin. Glenn Youngkin. Donald J. Trump endorsed. Glenn has my complete and total endorsement. Paid for by the Democratic Party of Virginia. Authorized by Terry McAuliffe, candidate. Now, the idea behind this was, if we all we know how to do is run against Trump, so we'll just send ads out. And here's the thing about Glenn Youngkin. I'll explain to you why this is so stupid. Is Glenn Youngkin had to walk a certain tightrope. Donald Trump is not that popular in Virginia right now. He got destroyed. He lost by 10 points. Not very popular in Virginia overall. But he needs Donald Trump's base in order to win, which is about 95% of Republicans adore Donald Trump. Somewhere between 80 and 95% of Republicans adore Donald Trump and think he should be the God King and should fuck their wives whenever he wants. Now, the other part of that is Glenn Youngkin had to get some white college-educated people to vote for him who voted for Biden, or for those people to stay home. And so what Glenn Youngkin had to do is, to the Trump-supporting base, he had to say, CRT, and I'm going to make sure that we audit the election. Wink, 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 wink. And then to the regular people, he had to be like, I'm a moderate good guy. I'm not like Donald Trump. I'm safe. I'm just like the old Republicans MSNBC telling you we need. I'm the Republican that Joe Biden said. I want to make sure that there's a strong Republican Party. Well, Joe Biden, right after he was elected, he says we need a Republican Party. We need an opposition that's principled and strong. Well, I'm here to do that. I'm here to give Biden exactly what he wants. Opposition. And a strong opposition. And I want you to understand something before we go on more about who Terry McAuliffe is. Okay? Terry McAuliffe is one of the most disgusting, vile people in all of the Democratic Party. He is the Hillary Clinton centrist new way corporate Dem from hell. Terry McAuliffe's failure to capture another term as Virginia's governor is uniquely rather easy to comprehend. The state party is loyal to the former governor and lined up behind his candidacy early. For this reason, the nomination was always his to lose. But the party had set a trap for itself. Its preferred candidate was well known and not particularly popular. Had Glenn Youngkin been a different kind of Republican, a Ken Cuccinelli defeated by McAuliffe in 2013, the Democrat would have had a chance of success, but this is not 2013, and Youngkin ran an intelligent campaign. While he whipped white suburbanites into a frenzy of parental choice in public schools, he kept Donald Trump at a distance. He figured out how to tap into racial grievance politics, as Trump did, while putting on a more palatable public face on his right-wing politics, and McAuliffe had no effective response. Although the Democrat ran on issues like a $50 minimum wage, he tried repeatedly to Youngkin to Trump. A vote for McAuliffe was a vote against Trump, or so he wanted the state's suburbanites to believe. To white rural voters, like those in my native Southwest Virginia, the linkage of Youngkin to Trump likely proved attractive. And I believe it is conceivable that McAuliffe may have done Youngkin a favor in those areas. To recap, Virginia Democrats united behind an unpopular Democrat. I think we can call that the Hillary Clinton playbook. who spent years in public life and ran on not being Trump while failing to offer voters a compelling alternate vision. That strategy didn't work in 2016 when the candidate was Hillary Clinton, and there's no way it was going to work now. While it's arguably true that the GOP remains the party of Trump and that a reactionary lurks beyond Youngkin's polite facade, reality does not necessarily dictate voter behavior. Moreover, McAuliffe didn't actually have to try to convince anybody that Youngkin is reactionary at all. He just had to explain what he, in contrast to Youngkin, would offer to voters. And since he's already served one term as governor, this shouldn't have been difficult to accomplish. Yet it was behind him. Instead of running a version of Hillary Clinton's failed 2016 campaign, McAuliffe should have borrowed from Joe Biden, who in 2020 ran to Clinton's left and emphasized economic issues on the campaign trail. Even then, the fact that Trump was the sitting president helped Biden to a narrow victory, and McAuliffe didn't have that advantage. His margins were always going to be narrower than Biden's, with significantly less room for error. And McAuliffe didn't have the political skill to navigate such turbulent water in a state he's already served as governor reflects on him and his enablers, not the left and not even Biden. The Democratic Party and its state affiliates are going to have to remember that Trump is not on the ballot or in power. They cannot hope that voter antipathy for him extends to the entire Republican Party in perpetuity, nor is centrism and the suppression of the party's entire left flank a guaranteed path to victory. The party has to figure out what it stands for, apart from its contrast to Trump and Republicans. The best time to do that was years ago. The next best time is now. And I actually want to show you something, Chad. I don't think I've actually shown you the utter and complete defeat and humiliation the Republican Party enacted on the Democrats. The Democratic Party was utterly smashed. Here's Pennsylvania, chat. Supreme Court Justice wins. Republican Supreme Court Justice wins. Superior Court Judge win. Republican by 10. Commonwealth Court Judge Stacey Wallace, Republican. Utter destruction. That was Pennsylvania. Let's go over to Virginia. Glenn Youngkin wins in a state that Biden won by over 10 points. Youngkin wins. New Jersey. Neck and neck. One case seats can't be lost this time because we already lost them. Joke's on you, right-wingers. That's right. New Jersey. New fucking Jersey. I don't think we make it to 2024. The coup attempt actually made the GOP more popular and it's going to succeed next time. I think the GOP is absolutely way more popular now than it was before the coup. There's no doubt about it. I don't think the coup hurt them. Anderson Cooper had the gall to say these results mean the Democratic Party is too far left. You understand that Terry McAuliffe is the most conservative Democrat in Virginia, right? Like, the most conservative Democrat in Virginia lost. Do the campaigns and the candidates not matter at all? Is that the argument they're trying to make? Are they trying to say that politics has absolutely nothing to do with material reality? The Dem won, it looks like, and I can't recall the lead monstrous in the margin of error factor. In many cases, you can't really see the Dems got crushed in New Jersey, in my opinion. They absolutely underperformed their polls by 8 points. That's a devastating underperformance, and the race hasn't even been called. That's a devastating underperformance. Wow. They voted against same-day voter registration? They voted against no excuse absentee voting? Devastating. They voted against getting rid of the police. They voted for a rent control ordinance, and they amend charter to authorize rent control. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, chat. Do you see? I want you to look at this. I want you to look at it. This does not shock me one bit. This doesn't shock me one bit. Mike, it's an off year and Republicans are out of power. This always happens. Yeah, good point. Good point. When a party is out of power, they always lose seats. They never, ever, 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 ever gain seats. If they're out of power, if a party is out of power, they always gain seats. And if a party's in power, they always lose seats. Okay? When a party's out of power, they always gain seats. But when a party's in power, they always lose seats and midterms. You have to go back as far as 3 years to find an example where that wasn't the case. Okay? You have to go 3 years in the past. That's basically ancient history. It always happens every single time in a midterm. The party out of power gains seats and the party in power loses. 3 years, man. You might as well be talking about ancient Rome, bro. American politics is fascinating. It's just a reoccurring cycle of Democrats winning because Republicans badly botched some easily preventable catastrophe, and then Dems pandering to the same Republicans and subsequently getting electorally crushed. The idea that you can just, that it's just the midterms is a cycle and it swings, by the way, we're not at the midterm. I don't know if you know this, but it's not the midterm yet. It's 1 year. That's not the midterm. So your thing is not even valid. And 2, it's not true. There's other issues that are more important than it just being the midterm. You have some sort of 2000 politics brain where someone told you that Pennsylvania is a swing state, and now forever and ever, Pennsylvania is a swing state. Politics, this isn't World War I trench warfare. It's not a natural phenomenon. It isn't a fact of history that you lose seats in the midterm every time. It may be harder because you actually have to deliver, but when a party does deliver, they win. I'll show you elections. Here's a midterm. 1934, United States House of Elections. Democrats had 322 seats after. They gained 9. The Republicans were at 117 seats and lost 14. There was a third party, the Progressive Party, won 7 seats. So it almost, and by the way, so obviously the Democrats are coming off of that was a swing back, okay? Obviously 1932 must have been pretty tough for the Democrats, when they won that. That was pretty tough for them, right? I mean, never mind, they won 97 seats the previous election. But hey, every single time, listen, every election midterm, you just lose seats. By the way, they actually improved from having a 313 seats. They improved. It's okay. Every time, though. In politics, it doesn't matter what you do. It's just automatic, It's begun. McAuliffe's loss in a state Biden just won over by 10% raises an important question. How do we blame progressives? Dem members are already texting me blaming progressives for this debacle in Virginia. So here's the thing. If progressives are going to be blamed, no matter what happens, why don't we just nominate progressives? Let's stop nominating centrists. If you're going to have candidates, if it's what the progressives say that matter, how about we nominate people that are going to robustly and proudly make the argument instead of apologizing for it? Why do we, if you as a centrist can't differentiate yourself, then go in the back of the bus. Why are we running with you? You just don't have the cultural and political pull. This is just so I can make my point. I'm being a little snarky, but let me make my point. I'm pissed off because I hate hearing that dumb fucking argument that, it's a midterm, we just don't have to pay attention. All right? That's not true. Okay? It's a wrong argument. It's false. It's lazy and it's an excuse. So the 2016 presidential election in Ohio, Donald Trump won 51-43. Pretty solid win for Donald Trump. Our 8-point win. 8-point win for Donald Trump. So then, okay, pretty good. Okay. So obviously, in the midterm, since Trump only won it by 8, obviously, the governor's election that happened in 2018, that's a midterm. So obviously, the Democrats swung it back and they won the governor's race, right? They ran a centrist. They were safe. They ran a centrist that everybody loved. Because he was a good compromise candidate, and because Trump, only won by 8. Now remember, Biden won Virginia by 10, so it's just the midterms, folks. It's just the midterms, and just like in Virginia, the the Republican won. The Republican won by 4, the Republican won. So it doesn't seem that just because it's a midterm, you automatically win if you're the other party. That's odd, huh? Maybe there's another excuse. Well, listen, Mike, Ohio is unwinnable. A progressive wouldn't have done any better. Someone who is known to be on the left flank of the Democratic Party running in Ohio would have gotten destroyed. Obviously, it has nothing to do with the messaging. A left-wing senator candidate would have gotten fucking destroyed in Ohio. It would have been a destruction. They would have been defeated easily. See, if you just run someone who's known for being one of the most pro-union senators in the country, he would get destroyed. That's not relevant anymore. We need to talk about tax credits. So at the end of the day, the bullshit excuses you get are, hey, if you run a centrist, they're bad candidates and nobody likes them. And you're like, Mike, what's your evidence that Sherrod Brown is even that progressive? Oh. In 2006, Brown co-sponsored the Single Payer Expanded and Improved Medicare for All Act. So he was known. He wants to break up consolidated banks and the financial industry conglomerates. So the enemy of the banks who voted against the Patriot Act and wants to break up the big banks and wrote the Medicare for All bill in 2006. It's Sherrod? Okay, thank you. I always call him Sherrod. VA result is meaningless. VA always goes against Prez party for their governor for like the last 50 years. So at the end of the day, hey, you know, people say dumbass shit. And listen, is Sherrod Brown as left-wing as me? No. But is he one of the more left-wing senators in Congress? Yeah. Did he crushingly win at the same time a milquetoast centrist got destroyed in Ohio in 2018? Yeah. Maybe. Just maybe. People want someone who hates the big banks, likes unions, votes against the Patriot Act, wants to expand Medicare. Maybe. Somehow, this idea will get through. That maybe the Dems should do those things. Do you think the Dems will take this as a wake-up call, or are they satisfied to have successfully stalled the... what? They're going to do the only thing they know how to do, which is punch left. They're going to do the only thing they know how to do. They're going to do the one thing that every coward does, is punch left. And it's also why other leftists spend most of their time doing it. Because it's safe.